Hello and welcome to the 85th episode of Rambling Weekly. We're going to be talking about keeping things simple. Maybe, kind of, sort of, but not really. That's what the topic's for, but yeah. As the title says, simple does it. Uh, but first we got a little bit of stuff to kind of go over, so we're going to do a little bit of a break and then get into it. So let's begin. Welcome back. That tune there is the Lion King Elton. It is a remixed version that's in an album. I don't remember where I got the album from, but I got it a long time ago. It has the opening theme, the Fire Emblem theme, and then the 12 chapter themes for Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. So we're going to go with those tunes this time around. Partially because I've been playing through it and making videos of it. If you haven't checked them out, I'd appreciate it. Check it out. I'm 2 parts in. It's going to be 6 parts altogether, and it's deep dive through going through the plot. As it's going through, there's certain tangents I'll be taking through on those, particularly as get deeper and deeper into the series. So I figured it'd be something. As much as I like the game and stuff, I've never really, or the series, I've not really done much about. Like I say, oh, I like the Fire Emblems, or at least the old ones. I really like those, but I never really. I had a quick 2-part little video I did for Marth's Mystery of the Emblem game, and it's like, oh, you know what? I want to do genealogy. Like this is like the 4th time I'm playing through it, so I figured it'd be a good opportunity to give it a go and all that sort of fun jazz. But yeah, so that's that. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I've been, as probably everybody else, busy with things. It's been a healthy busy, not like ugh. Each time I want to start to do a recording, I have like 5 other things pop up, and I'm like, oh shoot, and then I'm like, oh, because I do have a couple of, and Mr. Sushi B knows this, but I've got a couple of the Power on podcasts, but I'm like, I'll save this, and I'll do it, and then I'm at the last minute, I'm like, no, I'll save it. So that's why there hasn't been a Rambling Weekly in a while, because because of that. I do like my light setup here. It's pretty. We've got the cool. It's got the blue great light, and then we got the orange warm light. I'm about to be like abducted by 2 different types of aliens. Gracious. Anyways, but yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Apologies for, at least I have been, no, okay, I've been putting out those tiny little clips, because I have a bunch of just random clips for all the footage that I've been getting for Fire Emblem, and I was like, oh, I'm not using some of this, so let's put up little clips. I was going to try to put them up as shorts or whatever, but evidently I have regressed and have caught the dumb, and I don't know exactly like why I can't get it to do it, even when I've transferred it to try to put it on my phone and stuff. So it's like, whatever. Just I've got a few now because I have the, just as a upfront on that, I've got the footage for the next 2, because I'm breaking it down into 2 chapters at a time. So I've got chapters 4 and 5. I've played through those, so I have all the footage for that. There's some pretty annoying stuff in there, in the sense of like, oh great, this will be nice to have this to put this out there and be like, here's something really annoying. I really hate when bosses or enemy units have that stupid shield ability that just blocks everything. And then it just procs like 8,000 times in a row. As in like 3 or 4 times, which is enough to be annoying. Especially when one of them's like doing 60 magical damage. You're like, oh boy, that's really hurting. Please stop. Cease. I'm dying. Anyway. So I don't think I've ever shown them on... I've got a few of these to show. But finally got the physical copy of my book. So I've got 3 different prints of it. Not simultaneously now, but the first one is the matte version, which is super dark because I'm an idiot and don't understand what material and how... I mean, at least on the back, it's fine and everything. How material and color saturations for digital images works. Good learning lesson. But it's kind of neat. You know, you got that really like dark sort of like, oh, what's going on with it? So, switched gears. Put it in the glossy form. It still came out pretty dark, and I was like, oh, that is kind of concerning because once again, pretty neat, but can't really make out anything there. Yeah, no. That's also look at that. Oh my goodness, that's a big book. However, finally, thanks to David's efforts. In tolerating my stupidity, we were able to fix it, and hey, there we go. Look at that. It's so pretty now. Yay. Goodness gracious. Yes. So, yeah. But that's the version now. That edition is whatever. That was such a pain in the butt because I had ordered it. And then got the other one. I was like, and I understand why, but when I order, because I'm just giving them to family and close friends and stuff like that. But like those that'll accept it and not just buy it themselves. But which I do appreciate, but. More importantly, it's like I got them in, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, this is right. And like, and it took like 2 weeks, like a week and a half, 2 weeks, where people can order the book and get it in like 3 to 5 days, if not sooner. I get why. It just makes me chuckle. Like when it got released and everything, I know that people bought the book and got it before I did. So it's just like, okay, all right, sure, yeah, I don't need whatever. So I thought that was, I mean, I guess I could have learning lesson. I could have ordered it before putting it live to print, just so I can see how they look, which is what I'll probably do next time. So with that said, I'm about 13 pages into part 2. I'm aiming to to be at least 100 pages in a month now, like by middle of July. So I'm hoping I'll be a little bit further than that, but that's kind of the goal I've got. I've got a few different goals for myself. That's one of them. The other ones I'm kind of, but the thing is as long as there's progress being made, that's kind of just the good thing about it, right? Like when you're trying to juggle so much, like one of the aims was to have by middle of July is to have 4 parts of this Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War thing in. So I might be a little close, but at least in being consistent with it. So yeah, it's, I don't know, I was just like, I'm gonna, because in the Discord thing that I've got with a few of us, we were doing continuing the the Gents Challenge sort of thing from yesteryear, and calling it the people of lordly caliber. But I was like, I can't do the game thing. I've got too much going on. Like I think when they had started up the new one, I just started with the Fire Emblem thing. Sushi B could vouch for this. There's a game that we recorded for the podcast that it was. I will say this: it was the longest 28-hour game I've ever played in my life, and I don't mean that necessarily that it was a bad game. It just took me forever to get through it, partially because of work. In the summertime, it's a little bit busier, so it's just like I can't do this. Like unless it was like a super easy short game that I've never played through, but like well, no, that's not easy. I was gonna say Journey to Silius or whatever, but that's not an easy short game. That's a short game. Just that's tough as nails. Maybe Castlevania 4 or something, but maybe in the next challenge I'll do that or something. But yeah, so that's been going on. What's going on? Getting that. I got this actually just yesterday. This is just by who is it by? Osawa Mitsuki did just some of the art for some of the characters for Genealogy of the Holy War. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll take that. Yeah, I'll get that. So I was just like, yeah, why not? I mean, it's not quite my style, but I do like the more kind of like the 90s art style of that, and just the different colors and whatnot. It's all sorts of fun and excitement. So that and those things. I don't have terribly much when it comes to odds and ends of Fire Emblem stuff, particularly of Genealogy of the Holy War. I was like, I'll treat myself a little bit. So yeah. There's not much else going on. That's been going on. I mean, I guess like the other things I've been doing is I've been putting in time and trying to make a tabletop game. So yeah, not like for anything other than friends of mine. We about like once every other week we play. We've been getting into playing just some tabletop stuff. We're all pretty new to it, but yeah, one of them's the other my friend, he's the GM, what have you, and he doesn't want to do that forever, and I understand that. So I'm like, okay, and we want to try something sci-fi, but I'm too stupid to sit there and like read the rules. I was like, why read the rules when I can make the rules and they'll stick with me much easier than me trying to read through this and try to figure it all out. And so I've been making like a tabletop thing and kind of doing little bit of tweaks here, a little bit of tweaks here, and doing all sorts of stuff. I did a little one shot with him, just kind of testing it out, and it worked out pretty well for half of it, because we haven't gotten to the back half of that one shot yet. And it was I was testing out because I want to have like mecha or mech and like spaceship stuff in it, like combat and whatnot. So we were working on that and just trying to test it out. One person, pretty easy to do. More people, I'm going to have to have brain knowledge, but we'll see how that goes. It's always a fun learning experience. It's good to kind of like work out the kinks on that and be like, okay, no, that ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to rearrange this. We're gonna have to drop this and whatnot. It's a fun experience of putting something together like that. So, but yeah, I don't think there's really much else there. So yeah. I think that was a pretty quick. Just kind of go through that. I guess the other thing is I had a school reunion. It's cool to see people I hadn't seen for like 20 years. So yeah, that's about it. So good to see that some of them were doing well and whatnot. It was a pity. There weren't as many as I was kind of hoping for as being as long as it was, but people got all their other lives and all that other business and silly stuff going on. So it is what it is. All right, I am going to take a break and then we'll get into the topic. So stick around. Welcome back. That there's Door of Destiny. I forgot to mention it for the first song, but Lion King Elton for the first bumper. That was for Chapter 3's overworld theme, or over battlefield theme. But the Door of Destiny is for Chapter 5, and that's the theme there. So it's good stuff, and really drives home the point of just the general mood and vibe of what's going on. Yeah, it'll be fun to talk about. Looking forward to chatting about that in the next Taylor Talks video, because that's part of it, Chapter 5. So, yeah, it's been I've really liked coming back to it, because it has been about maybe like 5-6 years since I've played it. So, yeah, good game. I really hope that if Nintendo, not if, but when Nintendo Intelligent Systems and whatnot, whomever else gets their hands on remaking it, I hope they do as good of a job as they did with Gaiden. I'm not too keen on them tying it like what they did with Gaiden, doing a little bit more effort to tie it in with some of the newer stuff and whatnot. Didn't quite care for that. It wasn't egregious or heinous or what have you. It's like meh, whatever. But they really don't. They really shouldn't. They should just leave it as it is and just be like, okay, here it is, and it's shiny. But it is available on the Switches, like that Nintendo Online in Japan. If I remember correctly, it's on there. So who knows? Maybe they'll just do that and just be like, oh, we'll just get the translation work out for it, and that's what you get instead. But yeah, it is my favorite Fire Emblem game. But that's not to say some of the other ones aren't enjoyable, or they creep up there. As much as Thrakia is a malicious, evil, just a mean-spirited game. It's a really fun one to play too. So, yeah, good stuff. Anyways, the topic. So, I guess I should also say, I forgot to mention that in the first part. Not that it really changes things. So part of the thing was I was going to be like, oh hey, I'm going to write it out. I'm going to do little write outs for the topics and stuff like that. And I got about a page and a half on this little notepad before I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I never got back to it. And then I just I get it. It's kind of nice because then I can work out thoughts a little bit better. But then it just takes away from the spirit of the podcast, right? It takes away from it. So I eventually was like, I probably shouldn't do that. I should at least have it in my head to some degree. But I don't know. That's kind of the fun of it. You have the idea for the topic, but not to be like, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Part of it's also, if somebody's really studied on something, that doesn't make it less interesting. Sure, you can help kind of teach something, but if you have like a very heady topic, and you have somebody just kind of trying to like work their way through it, you can at least see and start to understand their thought process. You may not agree with it. You may be like, no, 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 or maybe you might be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get where you're going with this. As everybody should, since we're all different, we have our own experiences and what have you. But yeah, that to me, that's kind of the interesting aspect for the rambling weeklies, is to go into it, not necessarily just completely like, I don't know anything about this, but to have an idea and then just try to work around it, work through it, and see how much more knotted and tied up it becomes, and be like, oh, this is a mess. Oh no. Anyways, the topic for today: simple does it. I do have a description, so I'm going to read the little description I wrote out for it from the shorts that you can see available on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And the simple lives we live, we tend to celebrate the small, silly things. That's great. However, when that is the route people go, when that is routine with what they constantly share with one another, what then? Beforehand, we tend to look down or try to put down those who constantly shared the extremes. That or simply hand waved it away with some explanation. Now we're inundated with these odd small acts, like everyone is trying to be a corner grinder monkey looking for recognition or something I cannot quite understand. This idea, the idea for this topic came from, and I still will just spend about maybe 15 minutes or so scrolling through something like Instagram or TikTok, not TikTok, but like Twitter, X, whatever the heck it's called, and be baffled. Like there are constantly, and I will after doing a cursory sort of look through, will go through and be like, click, don't show me again. And eventually it'll show me again. And I don't know if it's because when I come through and look through and see something similar, they're like, oh, well, he kind of likes this thing. So it tries to push it that way. But, like, there's these constant short videos I see of people doing these really mundane things where they're like, we're playing tic-tac-toe. The loser makes dinner. Or they're like, they set up these really extreme things, like somebody tied 8 basketballs together and into this just long basketball snake, and then threw it until they made a 3-pointer. And there are a lot of examples of this where people will have these like weird, ridiculous things set up, and then they'll do those. And then sometimes they'll have a thing. It took me 3 hours and 17 minutes before I finally did it, and I don't get it. I really don't. I really don't. I see how there's like 5 million people liked this, and it's like, why? What's I'm confused. I'm really, because this kind of ticks on to a thing as a kid. Now, to I guess pull back a curtain that I've pulled back before on this sort of thing. As a kid, my cousin said this about me, that I grew up quick because parents were as they were, and somebody needed to be the adult, and 7-8-year-old me was going to be the adult, I guess. So I had to be very responsible, very judicious. And, there's plenty of times where I haven't been. But I had to do just a lot of stuff to kind of take care of business, to make sure things didn't go completely sideways. And more so, taking care of, like, tending to things at the house and with siblings and stuff like that. So, I at that young age, I would see all the dumb little things, or what I would consider dumb at the time, and be like, "Oh, let's. Why are you doing that? You're wasting time." I don't know why I went into like Cartman there, but whatever. But they go into this. I just go into this grumpy bit because I would see how like I'd just be doing these just silly things. And you're like, why are you doing that? Like I'm not gonna join in the silly games. Like that's no. Um, that has exacerbated that ancient feeling within me whenever I see this now on social media and stuff. Um, I there's one that's like these two brothers or something, and they're constantly doing like these just throwing cards to get it caught in the just weird, very specific, crazy stuff, and I I don't understand continuing doing that. Um, and I guess somebody could easily be like, well, Taylor, I don't understand why you continue to make videos after not being super successful like other people, after doing this for, oh, whatever. I would, not quite 12 years, because, you could probably condense these videos into about a 4-year habit. But, I guess that's where I need to kind of relax and be like, it's people just having fun. But then I don't know. I guess it's one it's one of those weird things with the whole parasocial thing, right? Where you're trying to conquer your boredom, and that's where you get that creativity to try to figure out something. Either you let your imagination run wild, or like for me, that's what I did. Like I grew up not liking how like as a kid, TV after Saturday morning was super boring. So like I would just go outside and play. Yeah, that's either just through like typical grab a stick, it's now a sword, swish 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 sort of things, or what have you. Um, and I guess that's where that is that disconnect that I have in trying to connect why you would want to share that sort of thing. Um, I not only share it, but then also other people wanting to watch it. That whole, I guess the whole thing is just sort of like I don't understand the appeal of it. I can understand the appeal of being like doing the recording and like getting like the dopamine hit of a ton of people watching, a ton of people replying. Maybe you're getting money out of it for ads or something like that. But I guess it is a little odd to me for those sorts of simple acts, and I don't mean that necessarily in a derogatory sense, because I call myself simple all the time. And simple's fine. Simple's fun. Like you're not overcomplicating things. You're just being silly, being simple. They're different things. Just being simple. um, I yeah, I guess to see that, or having people share their competitions for um, playing putt putt or something like that. I guess to me is more of like what you do with your friends, not necessarily what you do like in a parasocial sense. And I wonder if that isn't creating some really unhealthy tendencies and expectations, and depleting like that social battery, the energy of the social battery, by doing that via there. Like I'm gonna try to look this up real quick. There's something I was seeing about there was. There we go. So this is actually from a while ago. This is from Scientific American, and that's not to say that whenever I bring up these studies, it's less believing it wholesale and being like, oh yeah, totally. More of just something to keep in mind. Be like, sure, not just simply what were the parameters. What try to either knock it down or raise it up, but what you're going for. Okay, this is what you're doing. Why? So this is an article from Scientific American back 11 years ago, April 11th, 2013, as I crumble to dust. E-readers and tablets are becoming more popular as such technologies improve, but research suggests that reading on paper still boasts unique advantages. And then it talks about a viral YouTube video from October of 2011. God knows what. 1-year-old girl sweeps her finger across an iPad touchscreen, shuffling groups of icons. In the following scenes, she appears to pinch, swipe, and prod the pages of paper magazines as though they too were screens. When nothing happens, she pushes against her leg, confirming that her fingers work just fine, or so a title card would have us believe. The girl's father, Jean-Louis Constanza, presents a magazine as an iPad that does not work, as naturalistic observation, a Jane Goodall among the chimps moment, that reveals a generational transition. Technology codes our minds, he writes in the video description. Magazines are now useless and impossible to understand for digital natives. That is, for people who have been interacting with digital technologies from an early age. You know what I should probably be doing? I should probably be sharing this as an... Oh boy. Let's see if I can... There we go. Bloop. Alright, okay. Alright. And then perhaps his daughter really did expect the paper magazines to respond the same way an iPad would. Or maybe she has no expectations at all. Maybe she just wanted to touch the magazines. Babies touch everything. Young children who have never seen a tablet like the iPad or an e-reader like the Kindle will still reach out and rub their fingers across pages of a paper book. They will jab at an illustration they like. Heck, they will even taste the corner of a book. They can be very tasty. Today's so-called digital natives still interact with a mix of paper, magazines, and books, as well as tablets, smartphones, and e-readers. Using one kind of technology does not preclude them from understanding another. Nevertheless, the video brings into focus an important question. How exactly does the technology we use to read change the way we read? How reading on screens differs from reading on paper is relevant not just to the youngest among us, but to just about everyone who reads, to anyone who routinely switches between working long hours in front of a computer at the office and leisurely reading paper magazines and books at home. To people who have embraced e-readers for their convenience and portability, but admit that for some reason they still prefer reading on paper, and to those who have already vowed to forego tree pulp entirely. As digital text and technology become more prevalent, we gain new and more mobile ways of reading. But are we still reading as attentively and thoroughly? How do our brains respond differently to on-screen text than to words on paper? Should we be worried about dividing our attention between pixels and ink? Or is the validity of such concerns paper thin? This is a big article. So, yeah, there's a lot of different stuff in just this one itself, where going through, it really seems to be that we don't retain as much information. We don't, it doesn't stay within us as well. That's not to say that that's, people who read books are just inherently, well, we've got the big brains. I have learned the book kind of thing, just because they're reading through a book. But there's just some differences to it. I think part of it's simply because you know, this is a more focused endeavor because you have to physically have it open, and then there's more physicality to it as opposed to with like an e-reader and stuff, because then you just have it like this as opposed to full body or full brained, kind of left and right. I mean, I guess you could kind of do one of these things and stuff. I always found it. I'm always like, oh, I gotta read the book. But as I said before, my name is my mom. But I don't know what I'm doing. But it's there's just a bunch of different concerns. That there's like, hey, these things, we what are we doing? And then I think, if so, I'll link this here so people can read it a bit more. But just just the differences in it, because there are these differences. There's the fact that you have only so much on a page, and then there's a beat and rhythm to it, not even simply from sentence, from word to sentence to paragraph to page, but also from page to page. Whereas with this, there isn't as rhythmic of a turn to it, if that makes sense. I mean, just also the touch of things, the textile. It's interesting to get into. It's the same thing with languages, and how somebody who is only unilingual, only speaks one language, how when they're in the womb versus bilingual, there's differences. The brain learns to process sounds differently, and just how the language is and stuff. It's some pretty fascinating stuff. And I think that just the intake of that information, where I'm getting with all that tangent, is just that I think I think that has some sort of deleterious effect on creativity. I feel that way with just in general being able to be like, oh, I'm bored. I have the powers of everything in this little thing, or through the internets or what have you. So I will just chop my boredom with something to just kind of get me by. That are like when people are working. I know a lot of people have earbuds and stuff. I can't do that. Not like, even if just working elsewhere, because I only got the one ear, so it's like I can't do that and just be like, oh yeah, because I won't be able to hear anything, and that's a wee bit dangerous. That's a wee bit concerning. So, and I can't get away with having like giant headphones on my head and just cover it, because what I would do is just cover up, listen through the bad ear and just have it so the good ear is still able to hear everything. But I guess that trying to get ourselves away from boredom as much as possible and strike it down and not have to deal with it is, I think, having an odd effect on us that we're not quite figuring out why or what it's doing. That it's just fatiguing us in a way that by the time we do want to do something, instead we just opt to just watch something. We opt to just have it impressed upon us. through watching other people do things, because we've drained our resources for the day on that sort of thing. We just can't be bothered to play that game or watch that show or what have you, that are enjoy like a hobby of some sort, like I mentioned in the first part about the reunion thing that I went to. One of my former classmates, she does and I'll put that in the links below, and see it on Instagram. But she does like a lot of stained glass artwork and stuff like that. Things that you could be doing yourself, instead watching other people do. And then when it bleeds into being these extreme just acts of just randomness, in the sense of like frivolity, and you're just like, oh, let's bounce a ping pong ball off of 7 blocks and get it into the cup at the same time. Isn't this amazing? Oh my goodness, blah. This is basically Taylor is old, the rant. but yeah. So that is my concern, is the simple, as we simply do things, and how I don't know how that just. Yeah, especially the wanting the attention thing, because that's a pretty big energy thing that's been happening since social media has become what it has become. And I mean, we would have it on lesser degrees and stuff, wanting to be liked and recognized and acknowledged by our peers and stuff, and then when that doesn't happen, how that can gut punch. And then when that doesn't happen on a wider scale, I think that's also a really damning thing too. It's like, you get told about how people close to you love and care for you and whatnot, and then you put yourself out there, and then you're met with silence, and not necessarily silence because you were being ignored, but met with silence because everything else is just so deafening. And then to have it be part of the noise, part of the large amount of noise, is just people, I don't want to say screaming for attention. I mean, there certainly are those. Those, I think, are most times people are like, okay, no, ignored. But when you let in the ones that vie for your attention through just the simple things, I think that's it's a little insidious in its own way. Kind of like everything in moderation. Sure, you should always mix in a little bit of silliness in life, a little bit of spontaneity, a little bit of order, a little bit of regiment, a little bit of, you gotta mix it all into the pot. You can't just. But what do I know? I'm just one little goofy goober. So, yeah. That's all I got for this one. So definitely let me know your thoughts on the topic. We're going to take a break, get into a quote real quick, and then be on our merry way. So stick around. Welcome back. That tune there is Light and Darkness. That was weird. That was the chapter 10 theme for Genealogy of the Holy War. Like I said, they're remixed versions and stuff, so a little bit more spruced up, punchier than they would be in game, but the in game is still pretty enjoyable as well. For the quote, I'm actually going to borrow from that game, Genealogy of Holy War. I'm going to kind of chop up just a quick, one character says one thing, another character says another thing, and I will leave it vague. So character A says something to character B replies, because I'm saving it for the video, but also because I don't feel like having to go through spoilers. So this way it keeps it vague for what it's for. The first character A says, "If this is my destiny, I shall go forth wherever the gods lead me." Character B responds, "You'll come to realize that fate is susceptible to change. It doesn't center on one person." And that is something I enjoy. I like the how to put it, no. Like, there's more to it than just simply, oh yes, if it's that's my fate, I'll go do it kind of thing. Like, you got to be proactive. Otherwise, if you end up being simply reactive, you are at the whims of everybody else, kind of thing. And I think that's a important lesson people need to learn. I see a lot of people just being very, very reserved and be like, "Oh, when something happens, I'll do this," and so they're very, very much on the back foot, very, very much willing to be reactive instead of being proactive, or just simply active and doing the thing, to do the thing, to do. So that's what I think. I think it's important to be active, because if you're not, then yeah. You know, somebody else has made the choice to change the parameters of the game. So, and what is the game? The game is life. So, that's what I got. So, the end. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever. I hope you have a good day, weekday, weekend, everything in between. Yeah, and the outro is the second chapter theme from Wonderful Genealogy of the Holy War. That is Disturbance in Augustria. We'll say Augustria, not Augustria. Augustria. Not like there's much of a difference, but there is. There's just a little bit of a difference. But anyway, yeah, that's that. So once again, thanks, and we should be back on to doing these on a weekly basis for hopefully a while. Got to get to 100. That's where, not necessarily to be like, got to 100, done, but it's just right there. It's so close. Just need to get just a handful, just a little bit more handful, just a little bit more. So get to that 100 and beyond. So yeah, that's it. Toodaloos. Bye.